Good evening, Glassboro, and welcome to Rowan News. Tonight, we have a special coverage of the 2025 New Jersey Gubernatorial race.
That's right. For the next hour plus, we here at Rowan News, under the television network, will be providing you viewers with a comprehensive student-centric coverage of this race. I'm Venice Washington.
And I'm Craig Tyler Ferguson. Coming up for you tonight, we have interviews with professionals here at Rowan, students here at Rowan, as well as live updates on the results of this highly contested governor's race coming up after this. Welcome back to Rowan News' New Jersey Governor's Race Special. I'm Craig Tyler Ferguson, and we are going to start off tonight by giving the viewers an outline of what you should expect from us tonight.
Starting off our coverage tonight, we will provide you all with a live update as to what the results are looking like so far. Then, we will talk about the importance of elections like this and why citizens in New Jersey who are eligible need to vote to make their voices heard.
Here is Keegan Thompson to give us a rundown of the election and our candidates. Keegan?
Thank you, Craig. And as most of you folks know, this governor's race has become a contest between Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill. Here is some background on both of those candidates. Starting with Jack Ciattarelli, who has lived in New Jersey all his life. He was born in Somerville and raised in the borough of Raritan. He earned his degree in accounting from Seton Hall, where he also got his MBA. This will be the third time that Ciattarelli has run for the governor role of New Jersey. His last run was against Phil Murphy, shocking many media analysts. In that race, Ciattarelli received 48% of all total votes, in comparison to the 51.2% total votes the incumbent Phil Murphy received that year. With a race that has been heavily tied to Republican President Donald Trump, a win for Ciattarelli would be a major indicator for the Republican Party and the Make America Great Again movement. On the other side of things, Mikey Sherrill served in the Navy until 2003. After that, she graduated from Georgetown University Law Center. And after that, she worked with the global law firm Kirkland & Ellis, working in the litigation department from 2008 to 2011. After her time with Kirkland & Ellis, Sherrill joined the United States Attorney's Office as an outreach reentry coordinator. In 2015, Sherrill became a federal prosecutor working as an assistant United States attorney for the District of New Jersey, working under United States Attorney Paul Fishman. After leaving office in 2016, Sherrill ran for Congress in 2018, defeating Jay Weber to represent New Jersey's 11th congressional district. The upset of the incumbent Republican candidate Weber marked the biggest swing from Republican to Democrat that year. If Sherrill were to win here, she would be the first female Democratic governor to win the state of New Jersey. This election does have a lot at stake for both parties, and it's worth mentioning that in Virginia, the projected winner is Abigail Spanberger, Democrat, who will be the first governor down there as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how both sides play out up here. It's a big night to break the glass ceiling. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Keegan. Let's take a look at as to what the results say so far. And as you can see, Mikey Sherrill has a 59% lead, with Jack Ciattarelli falling behind with a 49% currently split between the votes. And this is currently just 31% of the votes counted. And we are going to see more tonight as we get more votes in. And this ratio is obviously going to be subject to change.
So it is very possible that if Mikey Sherrill does win, she will become one of New Jersey's first female governors in the Democratic Party.
Absolutely, especially because it's especially interesting because this election, like we've talked about, is very concisive. There's a lot of diversity in the topics that we've been covering, and you're going to see that later tonight. And we're also going to see that unfold, and we're going to see the overall results of that.
So with the current results out of the way, we here at Rowan News want to talk about the importance of elections like this and try to explain the power that is given to the winning governor of New Jersey. Our own Tristan Weber spoke with Ben Dorkin about this matter. Dorkin, who is the founding director of the Rowan Institute of Public Policy and Citizenship, has served in that position since 2018. He also teaches courses in the political science department on campus. Let's see what he has to say regarding this topic.
There are a couple of reasons why this election is really most important, especially to Rowan's students.
Break it down county by county.
There is no more powerful person in the ecosystem of New Jersey politics than the governor. The entire system is set up so that the governor is the bright sun in the political universe of New Jersey. This means this person, whoever sits in that seat, has a huge impact and can have a very dramatic effect on the lives of everyday people in New Jersey, including Rowan students. How much money is going to be invested in higher education? How much money are we going to give to Rowan University? That will affect whether we build the more parking that we need, or the next dorm, or the next academic building. How much, it includes staff. How much money are we going to invest in tuition aid grants so that people can actually come here and pay, even if it's relatively cheap? It's a significant event. All of this is determined by the governor. Are we going to get direct train service between Camden and Philadelphia to Glassboro? These are the critical things that are going to be decided by this governor, as well as what kind of economy are you going to graduate to? Will there be jobs in and around the place where your family is? These are why this election is so important. Unfortunately, about 6 out of 10 New Jerseyans will not vote. We're looking at a high of 40, if we're lucky, 45% turnout of New Jersey's 6.6 million voters. And so when we talk about the question of, is it important? Yes, it's important. Not enough people recognize how important it is. They don't think it affects their lives, but in fact, it's very relevant to the lives, including, especially, to the lives of Rowan University students.
And that's kind of...
What Dr. Dworkin talks about in this clip does not appear to be common knowledge among citizens in New Jersey. Our reporter Tristan Weber, in particular, looks pretty shocked to find out this information.
That feels like it is the case. It is quite important to note the amount of power that is bestowed upon whoever wins this gubernatorial race. Tristan Weber and Dr. Dworkin also talked about reasons as to why citizens in New Jersey are generally disinterested in elections like this. Let's check it out.
Students here at Rowan University or anything like that about this election or elections in the past?
It's always tough. First of all, we shouldn't single out students. I mean,
Yes.
Boomers aren't voting either. So that's it's not just something to attack students on. And it's particularly hard for students. First of all, they're not established in any one location. So it's not like, I vote at the firehouse every year. You don't have that. You're moving from dorm to dorm to dorm. You've got to re-register when you have a new address. Some of these students are registered at home, but they're here on November 4th. They're not going home. Well, you can vote by mail, but they didn't request the vote by mail. So it's hard. And what happens is that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have a situation where the campaigns say, we looked at all the past results. People 18 to 24 don't vote. So we're going to ignore them, which ensures that they won't vote. When you have a special kind of candidate, Chris Christie, in 2009 when he ran for governor, Barack Obama in 2008, Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008 before she lost to Barack Obama in the Democrat primary. These were inspirational candidates that really generated enthusiasm among college students. So your question was, do you see this? It happens all the time. There's a lot of very fundamental factors about why it happens, and it's difficult for transient population like college students to be able in one place and register to vote and just be there consistently. But it's still going to have a huge impact on everybody's life. And when they decide how a $50 billion or $60 billion state budget gets allocated, seniors are definitely going to get their share of the pie because they vote, and young people will not.
Personally, I enjoy the point Dworkin made as to not single out certain students, because sometimes I will say it does feel as if college students are singled out as not participating in these elections. First, we want to look at the elections county by county. what the results are looking like in each county. First off, let's start with Atlantic County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you can see here, there is still a 57% lead for Mikey Sherrill, 43% for Jack Ciattarelli, and as that's currently 52% of the votes counted, as you can see. Let's go to my home county, Burlington County, real quick. As you can see, that is a 65% for Mikey Sherrill, 35% for Jack Ciattarelli, and that is only 52% of the votes of the total votes counted. And obviously, as you know, that ratio is going to change over the course of the night. Let's go next to Gloucester County here, around the Rowan, around the university area. As you see, 52% of the votes have been counted. There's a 54% lead for Mikey Sherrill, following behind with Jack Ciattarelli at 46%. As you know, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it all throughout the night. It's gonna keep changing. It's gonna keep evolving. You know, that's the thing with elections. You know, there's never really a set answer immediately. So you just gotta hang on and wait it out. Let's go next to Monmouth County, see how they're doing. Monmouth currently has 52% of the votes counted. Jack Ciattarelli is actually leading Monmouth. With 54%, and with Mikey Sherrill falling behind 46%. That's bound to change as the night goes on. However, it seems to be evening out.
So next we have Tyler Delancey giving us a rundown of the history of elections in New Jersey, coming up after this.
You know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. Not wondering anymore. Love, your mind.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains.
There's no sparks.
But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
The governor's race in New Jersey this year has become a hot topic of discussion among media pundits. That is mainly due to a combination of factors. One of the biggest factors is the fact that New Jersey is one of 2 gubernatorial races taking place this year. On top of that, New Jersey is notorious for flip-flopping between which party takes the title of governor of New Jersey. For other information on this, Tyler Delancey has more.
Thanks, guys. New Jersey has a long and complex voting history. In recent elections, the Garden State has seen some surprising changes that could reshape its political future. For much of the 20th century, New Jersey leaned Republican, supporting presidential candidates like Dwight Eisenhower, Richard Nixon, and Ronald Reagan. But in 1992, a change occurred. That year, NJ voters helped to elect Democrat Bill Clinton, starting the decade-long streak for the Democratic Party that continues today. When it comes to the governor, the state has been known to go back and forth between parties. In the last 51 years, New Jersey has elected 7 Democrats for governor, while only selecting 6 Republicans. In 2021, Governor Phil Murphy was re-elected, becoming the first Democrat to do so since Brandon Byrne was re-elected in 1977. Today, Jack Ciattarelli continues to fight the uphill battle, trying to bring Republicans back to the New Jersey political scene. But it will not be easy, as his fierce political competitor Mikey Sherrill seeks to keep Democrats at the pinnacle of New Jersey politics. In fact, if Mikey Sherrill were to win, this would be the first time in 65 years that a single party won 3 straight elections, with more on the historical impact Mikey Sherrill win have today. Back to you guys.
Mikey Sherrill were to win this election, could you explain the historical impact that would have for New Jersey, the gubernatorial elections in general?
Couple different points about history. First of all, she'd be only the second female governor. She'd be the first Democratic female governor in the entire history of the state since 1776. So in and of itself, gender would be something that would be unique. In addition, New Jersey voters tend not to give a third straight term, gubernatorial term, to the same party. That is, we get 8 years of one party, and then it's time to switch to the other. Sometimes you only get 1 term, and they switch. But it's never more than 8. You have to go back to 1961. So we're talking 80-some years in order to find where, in that case, Richard Hughes was elected governor, a Democrat, and he took over after 8 years of Bob Minor, who was a fellow Democrat. That's how far back you have to do it. So if this were to happen this year, that would be a pretty significant historical happening.
Yes.
Tyler and Dr. Dworkin. Up next, Craig, right here next to me, went out earlier this week to ask some students about their opinions on this upcoming election. Now let's see what the students are saying about this election.
All right, I'm here with Virgil. My name is Virgil. All right, Virgil, are you following the governor's race and are political?
A little bit. I already mailed in my vote, so.
Oh, perfect.
Did it here, actually.
Perfect. Now, what are you looking for in a governor?
Mainly someone who cares about like affordability and people, like the poorest people being able to still get access to all type of stuff, whether it be like Medicare or whatever, stuff like that.
Do you think any of the candidates so far have met your expectations for governor?
Not really, but I mean that's kind of every election. You're all kind of so.
Now, do you think other people on campus care about the same issues as you do?
I think most people, you put them in a room where you talk about affordability or like the government should help out with simple payments and bus. I feel like everybody can finally agree on that. It's pretty easy. Understand?
Oh, why do you personally care about politics, and why do you think other people should care about politics?
I just think it's something so simple that you don't really need to take that much time, because a lot of the stuff that like is what people would be into is pretty simple. So it's like, as long as you can take like 5 minutes out of your day, you can even go on TikTok, just watch what people are saying. It's really not that time consuming to get a little involved. So I just feel like for something that important, that's going to like dictate how our future is going to go, I just feel like it's pointless to not get into it here.
Thank you. Why do you think students are or not interested in politics?
It's a very controversial topic, and a lot of people like to stay away from it just because it invokes a lot of emotions, usually more negative than positive.
Ooh. And what do you think politicians could do more to gain traction with a younger audience?
Help them in college. We all pretty much have zero money. Help us out, give us some money, or make us have less than the very little money that we have.
As you can see, I shaved my beard for the occasion. The point brought up by the second student is a fascinating one. In general, people, especially younger people, are not too fond of participating in controversial conversations. Since politics is such a controversial topic to talk about, it puts students in a bad position where they risk being disinterested rather than being involved in stressful and/or controversial conversations.
I'm going to have to say I agree. I mean, regarding the disinterest that is felt among students, our own Haley Santello sat down with Dr. Diane Gayantes, who has been an associate professor of journalism here at Rowan University for over 13 years, as well as being a co-founder of South Jersey's Climate News. Let's see what she had to say.
Have you noticed a sense of disinterest among students when it comes to elections like these?
I mean, I think there's some level of disinterest, and some of that is, a lot of people don't feel like it really pertains to their lives. A lot of college students, a lot of citizens don't feel like elections always pertain to their lives. So I think there's that factor. I think too with younger people, and again, not just younger people, college students, but many of them get turned off by politics and elections, and politics in particular, because it has gotten so polarized, and there's just been a level of degradation in terms of the debate. It's like, we're just, it's gotten nasty, politically in this country on both sides. I mean, even to the point of political violence. I mean, we are really at a stage now that we haven't seen in decades, since the 60s. And I think many people are turned off by that. So they're turned off by politics. And I think that's true for college students as well. No exception, there. So I think that that's part of it. So some of it might be disinterest, but I think some of it too is just being turned off.
Now that some time has passed, let's take a look and see if there have been any updates to the results of this race. If we go over to Atlantic County, we could see that 52% of the votes have been counted, and there is a 58% lead for Mikey Sherrill, 42% for Jack Chittarelli. That ratio changed since the last time we saw it.
Okay, so we have Bergen County here. So here about 52% of the votes have been counted. About 60% are saying Mikey Sherrill. About 40% are for Jack Chittarelli.
If we go over to Burlington County, 52% of the votes have been counted. That ratio of 65% for Mikey Sherrill, 35% for Jack Chittarelli has been relatively consistent for that area, and there hasn't been too much change there.
Okay, heading over to Camden County. That is my county. Huge shout out to Woodland. If anybody knows where that is, you're definitely one of my people. 52% of the votes in Camden County have been counted as of right now. 69% are for Mikey Sherrill, and about 31% are for Jack Chittarelli. Going over to Cape May County, the votes have come in. 52% of the votes have been counted. 59%. Jack Chittarelli is maintaining a steady lead in that county, with 41% of voters in the county choosing Mikey Sherrill. That has remained consistent with the votes so far. Taking a look over at Cumberland County, about 52% of those votes are also counted. About 57% are saying Mikey Sherrill. About 43% are for Jack Chittarelli. Heading over to Essex County now, Mikey Sherrill is maintaining an impressive lead of 75% of voters, with 25% of voters choosing Jack Chittarelli. This is, by far from what we've seen so far, this is the largest ratio between the two politicians. Coming over to Gloucester County, that is where we are currently based. Gloucester County has about 52% of our votes counted. About 52% are also saying Mikey Sherrill. It's a very close race in Gloucester County, I must say, because 48% are for Jack Chittarelli. Heading over to Hudson County, once more, we have Mikey Sherrill maintaining an impressive 75% lead over Jack Chittarelli, with 52% of the votes counted. 25% going towards Jack Chittarelli. That is the second state we've seen so far with such an impressive divide. Coming over to Hunterdon County, it's another very close race. 52% of those votes have been counted so far. About 52% of the polls are saying Mikey Sherrill. About 48% are Jack Chittarelli. Going over to Mercer now, 73% are saying Mikey Sherrill, 27% are going for Jack Chittarelli, 52% of the votes have been counted in that area. This is, once more, we see another very impressive
Very impressive lead for Mikey Sherrill.
Coming over to Middlesex County, about once again, 52% of those votes have been counted. Here we have a ratio of 63% for Mikey Sherrill, 37% for Jack Ciattarelli. So once again, another lead for Mikey Sherrill.
Heading over to Monmouth now, Jack Ciattarelli is holding a 55% lead with Mikey Sherrill not too far behind with 45% of the voters. 52% of those votes in the county have been counted so far. That is likely to change.
Coming over to Morris County, it's another very close race. 52% of those votes have been counted. 52% are saying Mikey Sherrill. About 48% are for Jack Ciattarelli. Very close race, I must say.
In Ocean County now, Jack Ciattarelli is holding an impressive 66% lead over Mikey Sherrill, who has a 34% lead in that county. This is by far the largest lead that Jack Ciattarelli has in any of the counties that we've seen so far. 52% of the votes have been counted.
Coming over to Passaic County, about 52% of those votes have also been counted. 60% say, once again, Mikey Sherrill. 40% say Jack Ciattarelli. Once again, it's another lead for Mikey Sherrill.
In Salem County, Jack Ciattarelli holds a 57% lead. Mikey Sherrill holding a 43% of the voters. 52% of the votes have been counted. That is 52. The counties we've seen so far have 52% of the votes counted so far.
Next, over at Somerset County, we have about 52% of those votes also counted. Another lead for Mikey Sherrill at 58%, and Jack Ciattarelli coming right behind at 42%.
In Sussex County, as we can see, Jack Ciattarelli has a 57% lead, with Mikey Sherrill having 43% of the voters so far. And this is another lead for Jack Ciattarelli.
Coming over to Union County, about 52% of votes have been counted, once again leading with Mikey Sherrill at 67%, and Jack Ciattarelli following right behind at 33%.
Topping it off with Warren County, Jack Ciattarelli has a 51% lead over Mikey Sherrill, who has 49% of the voters. 52% of the votes have been counted.
So while it may be an election coverage, Rowan News would not be the same without our weekly weather forecast. Up next, our favorite weatherman, Keegan Thompson.
Take it away, Keegan.
Favorite weatherman? Well, that's a glowing review I'm certainly not going to ignore. I'm Keegan Thompson, folks, and let's talk weather real quick. While the political climate in America is very hot right now, the actual climate in the Northeast is starting to cool out a little bit. Despite a warm day today, tonight it'll get as low as 39 degrees. Currently, we're looking at 49 degrees, however. Nothing but clear skies ahead. It's optimal for viewing tonight's very nice full moon. So if you guys are having any moment to spend outside, take a look up at the sky, see that big bright orb, and then go on about your evening, continuing to watch our coverage, right? So we got a couple more of those wind gusts, 10 to 25 miles an hour today, around 7 miles an hour. We're hovering around the low 50s, upper 40s right now. So if you need to run out and make it in last-minute errands tonight, I'd hurry up and get it done right now. Now, we're going to take a look at the rest of the week, starting with a little bit of ups and downs. Tomorrow, we will be starting on and up. We will know who the governor is, and we'll also have sunny skies with a high of 68 degrees, only a low of 46 too. Just be mindful that we will have some wind up to 20 miles per hour. Better not get in the way of that. Thursday, big drop off, still mostly sunny, down to 56 degrees. And low of 34 degrees, with that wind from yesterday sticking around, carrying that chill right to you. It's pretty typical of the tri-state area this time of year. The only thing less consistent than our roads is our day-to-day temperatures in the middle of autumn. Friday, though, we're back up to 63 degrees, partly cloudy skies, low of 55 degrees. So Friday promises to be quite pleasant, nothing to worry about. That 57-degree day on Thursday was just a fluke, won't get in the way of that low for a while. This is what we in the business call foreshadowing. Saturday, it's warm again, high of 68 degrees, partly cloudy with a low chance of precipitation. And if Friday was pleasant, Saturday will be downright nice. And that will help those of you who are coming out for Rowan's final football game of the season on Saturday. Sunday, little trouble. Scattered showers and a high of 63 degrees, 68% chance of rain, but This is about 5 days away, so there's always a chance that this will blow away. But even if we do get this rain, don't expect too much accumulation. We're currently looking at about 1/4 of an inch right now. The rain may continue a little bit through the night with a high of 41 degrees. And now we have Monday. If you hated Mondays before, this one might prove your claims valid. Partly cloudy, high of 47 degrees. Nearly a 16-degree drop-off between Sunday and Monday. And, oh yeah, we'll have more of those pesky 10 to 20 mile an hour winds on Monday too. So better grab those gloves, scarves, if you wear them, and perhaps a jacket as well. That is going to be a rough one. Some more of that rain might be carrying on into the night as well. Low of 29. So, folks, be mindful of that one. Be very, very careful. But that's your 7-day forecast in the books. Again, if you're out late or up early, be mindful of our lows. They're only continuing to plummet as we inch closer to the winter months. Be mindful of your slick surfaces in your driveways when you're walking or when you're driving over bridges that say there might be ice here, especially after the rain on Sunday. That's all for me, but don't go anywhere. We will have more Rowan News coverage with more election right up after this.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas. You know it's true. Mom, we love you always. Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. Not wondering anymore. Love, your mind.
While the New Jersey gubernatorial race has captured media spotlight, the other major election that the nation has their eyes on is the New York City mayoral race.
That's right, a three-headed race between independent Andrew Cuomo, Democrat Zohran Mamdani, and Republican Curtis Sliwa has captured the attention of many, with President Donald Trump endorsing Cuomo yesterday.
As of now, currently 50% of votes are in favor of the Democrat Zohran Mamdani. Meanwhile, Andrew Cuomo has received 42% of the votes, while Curtis Sliwa has received the remaining 8% of the votes. This will be a very important and interesting election to keep an eye on as things progress.
Moving back to New Jersey's race, the governor of the state plays a pivotal role in the condition of higher education. Dr. Dworkin, when asked about the fears for higher education in the future, gave a hopeful response.
I think you absolutely have to be concerned with it. The moment you're not concerned with it, and the moment you think it's all taken care of, is the moment something is going to go wrong. If you're not at the table, then you're the meal. That is how this works. You have to have a voice. By registering, by voting, you make a difference. 100,000 more college students vote this November. It has a dramatic impact. But they're not, for all the various reasons. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's something that would make a difference. I'll tell you this. In the history of the world, no one has ever washed a rented car. What I mean by that is that democracy, higher ed for that matter, is not something you're just renting. It's something you have to take ownership of. The first time anybody who's watching this or is in your class, anybody, something that you paid for, that you bought, a new cool sweatshirt, some piece of clothing, right? Some piece of electronic equipment, a skateboard, something, whatever. Something that you paid for with your allowance and the money you made working at the local store or whatever it was, babysitting. That's the thing you possess and you take care of it in a completely different way. That is the way democracy works. It counts on people taking ownership, not feeling, I'm renting it. I only need it now. You need it now. That's not how it works. That's not how the whole system falls apart when no one takes ownership. Or people who you really disagree with will take ownership and you're not there to do anything about it because you didn't care. So when I say nobody ever washes a rented car, it's because you got to take ownership, both for the future of higher ed and for the future of democracy. And that's why, we count on young people to move forward on this. This will really be the last thing. In the history, every great social movement was started by young people. There is not, and you can talk, Christianity was started by this young guy named Jesus, right? And the people, and Paul and others who followed and interpreted his teachings. It goes from there. You can go to the 1890s and the Wandervogel, which were the original environmentalists. They took nature walks, but that's where the movement started. That's where the environment, people said we should take care of the earth. Everything, and I'm talking about civil rights, rights for LGBTQ. All of this was driven by young people. So I have faith. I have faith in the future of higher ed. I have faith in the future of this country because I see amazing young people at Rowan University every day, and I try and train them so that when they get up there, they're not so naive to think that this all happens overnight, but they're ready to want to be part of change. You want to be that good person in government, that we need good people in government. Yeah, we can help you, and that's why I have faith in the whole system.
And we have some breaking news for you guys. As of right now, the Associated Press has recently called the vote in favor of Mikey Sherrill, who is the predicted winner of this election.
Mikey Sherrill has a 57% lead over Jack Ciattarelli, who has 43% of the votes. We are going to continue the live stream and keep giving updates as things progress, and to see how the election is going to look by the end of the night. Going back to Dworkin's piece, however, the comparison between a rental car and democracy is certainly one that I have not heard, but will be using in the future. I also appreciate the shout out he gave to students at Rowan and the hope that we provide them with.
I totally agree with you, Craig. It is really nice to see a professor with a positive outlook on the future that he sees in us. And on another note, we spoke with Dr. Gariantes about advice she has for students trying to navigate election media. And after that, our own Sam Prince and Ben will be continuing election coverage, taking over for Craig and I. From the two of us here at Rowan News, have a great election night, Glassboro.
Advice would you give to the younger generation when going into elections and trying to figure out what is true, what is not, stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a job. I mean, it's hard. to do that. And I think that's why people get turned off, because it's, you have to really work for it, and you do. And but I think it's worth it, because if you don't, I mean, that's what democracy is all about, right? An informed electorate. And that's what we have to be, is an informed electorate. So I do always encourage my students to vote, but I also encourage them to read up on the issues, to be educated on the issues, to know what they're voting about, who they're voting for. And that includes local, all levels of government, your school board candidates, your mayor, find out what's going on, and then you make your informed choice. Um, you know, it's really important to me. And, maybe it's because I was a journalist I was a journalism major in college, and came out and started reporting. I was reporting on political stuff all the time. So when I walked into a booth, an election booth, I knew the issues so well, and I knew the candidates. I just, and I no longer am a reporter. I teach now, but I still, do that. And I just think it is so incredibly important to not just vote the party line, not just vote for the sake of voting, which you should vote, but understand who and what you're voting for. Be informed when you walk in. Look at your sample ballot, know who the candidates are, look them up, look across all different types of media and types of news information, all different types of media platforms, news. Go to their websites, right? See what news stories go on social media, see what people are saying. But again, get a very wide breadth of information, and then make your choice. And talk to other people even, but make your choice.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Fatsoken.
And I'm Nicholas Marinelli, and the two of us will be your anchors for the rest of this election coverage.
When it comes to following elections nowadays, the biggest struggle some students feel they have revolve around the presence of social media in their everyday lives. When it comes to following elections like this one, social media can be potentially harmful because of the way social media presents its information.
That's right, Ben. Social media has been proven to be determinant for election coverage. This is because of the both misinformation that the present on these sites, as well as specific manners in which these social media algorithms were created. For more on this matter, we turn it over to Dr. Garantines.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it remains to be seen how, what kind of an impact social media has on the election. I mean, certainly the candidates all have their social media accounts. It's being discussed on social media. So yes, it's certainly playing a role. What kind of impact it will have, it's not clear to us right now. I mean, I guess we'll see when the results come in. Is it a trustworthy source? I always tell my students to be very careful when absorbing news, consuming news and information on social media, because it is not vetted. There is no fact checking involved. People just sound off their opinion, and it's fine to do that. That's fine. It's free expression, and that's what it's for. But sometimes it's opinion, but then sometimes it's also misinformation or disinformation, where there's actually false information that's purported to be correct or real or accurate information that's not, that's proliferating on social media. That, in fact, social media is a main source of misinformation in our country, and that has plagued our election process. So I always tell my students to be very careful when consuming any news or information on social media. If it's health news, if it's election news, if it's anything, you have to fact check it, because there's no editing process. There's no way of fact check. There's no fact checking that happens. Arguments can happen, but really, you have to fact check everything you see on social media. That's what I encourage people to do.
Have you noticed any significant differences in how traditional media and social media have been covering New Jersey candidates?
I mean, the traditional media will cover their events and debates, of course, and the issues that are coming up. And so, the traditional media outlets will cover the news, as we know news, Whereas on social media, it's more of a debate, more of a discussion, it's conversation. So it's different. It's not even so much covering. I don't know that social media really covers the election as much, but there certainly is a lot of discussion. And of course, the candidates have accounts on social media. I mean, many. I thought it was interesting because I think it's interesting because Jack Ciattarelli, who's the Republican candidate, has a Spanish account on Instagram, you know. And Maggie Sherrill has a account as a representative, a U.S. representative, which she is. She's also a U.S. representative and as a candidate. So she's got lots of followers that way. So social media is a way for the candidates to get their message out, and it can be much more personalized. And I think that's the difference between traditional media and social media in general. And social media, whether it's people exchanging information, arguing, whatever, or candidates with their messages, it's much more personalized, tailored to specific audiences. So there's a big, and whereas legacy media, traditional media, it's more for a mass audience, and it's a little bit more neutral in its tone, more journalistic in its tone. So it's a very different way of discussing the election. You know, one is news and information in a very neutral, way, written in a way organized for mass audiences, and the other is much more personal and discussion oriented and conversationally oriented, talking about the election.
With social media being such a big role in like the younger generations, do you see that is like sort of like carrying over into the interest in like politics and like national news?
Yeah, I think social media does play a role in that. That's why I say I don't know that people are completely disinterested in the election. I think sometimes people again are turned off, but I do think that I mean, students tell me all the time, they'll be on their social media feeds and they'll see information or discussion going on about the election here in New Jersey, or politics, national politics. And I think that's a good thing. I do. I think it's great because you are made aware of what's going on, and you do have you understand like what's happening and why, and you have a chance to look into it more. See, this is my advice. It's great because you come across information on your feeds about what's going on in New Jersey or nationally. Wonderful. And then my advice would be check into it more. Read across multiple types of media. Don't just stay with even just one social media channel. Like go across social media, but also go outside of social media because of the problem of misinformation. And read. I mean, absorb as much information as you can. That will get you closer to, what journalists we are in pursuit of the truth, right? So the more sources you have, the closer you can come into the truth. And it's the same with media sources. The more media sources you have, the more you can sort of get closer to what's really going on, or at least as close as you can.
The Associated Press has called the New York City mayoral election for Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani at 51%. Independent candidate Andrew Cuomo came in at 40%, and Curtis Sliwa, the Republican nominee, came in at 4%.
Congratulations to all the candidates that ran for the New York City mayoral election.
I feel like plenty of people would agree with the sentiment that social media plays a major role in the spread of misinformation in our society. That easy ability to spread misinformation on social media plays an especially interesting role, and already has played interesting roles in past elections.
Definitely, Ben. Social media plays a huge role in both the spreading and the consumption of information that occurs across our nation. Now it's time to take a look at our updated election tracker. Talk about the current results as unbiased as possible.
All right, so in Atlantic County, Sherrill has 57%, Ciattarelli coming in at 43%. How would you get Bergen County?
Well, yeah, with Bergen County, Nikki's winning by 60% there, and Jack is winning by 40% there.
Okay. Burlington County, Mikey is at 65%, and Jack is at 35%.
And then for Camden County, Nikki's at 69%, while Jack is at 31%.
For Cape May County, all the way down there, Mikey's at 41%, and Jack is at a strong 59%.
And then for Cumberland County, Nikki's winning by 57%, and for Jack, he's winning by 43%.
Essex County, Mikey Sherrill at a strong 77%, and Jack at 23%.
And in Gloucester County, Mikey's winning 52%, and Jack is winning by 48%.
In Hudson County, Mikey Sherrill at 74%, Jack just at 26%.
And then for Hunterdon County, it's tied at 50 apiece right now for both Nikki and Jack.
Mercer County, Mikey Sherrill has a 76% lead, and Jack is at 24%. 49% of the votes have been counted.
And then for Middlesex County, Mikey is winning by 63%, and Jack is up 37%. 95% of the votes are counted.
In Monmouth County, 92% of the votes have been counted. Mikey Sherrill is at 45%, and Jack Chitterelli is at 55%.
And for Morris County, Mikey Sherrill is winning 55%, and Jack is 45%. Mikey is 55%, Jack is 45%. 49% of the votes are counted.
92% of the votes have been counted in Ocean County, with Jack Chitterelli at 67% and Mikey Sherrill at only 33%.
For Passaic County, Mikey Sherrill's at 60%, and Jack is at 40%, with 38.2% of the votes counted for.
In Salem County, 53% of the votes have been counted, with Jack Chitterelli at 58% and Mikey Sherrill at 42%.
For Somerset County, Mikey is at 58%, Jack is at 42%, with 26% of the votes counted for.
In Sussex County, 94% of the votes have been counted, with Jack Chitterelli at 60% and Mikey Sherrill at 40%.
For Union County, Mikey Sherrill's at 64%, and Jack Chitterelli's at 36%. 58% of the votes are counted.
39% of the votes have been counted in Warren County. Mikey Sherrill is at 49%, and Jack Chitterelli is at 51%. With that update in the books, we want to remind our viewers the importance someone like a governor has on their everyday lives. Here's Ben Workin with more on that.
Yeah, look, I mean, college students have an opportunity to shape their future, more so with a governor's election than even a presidential election. The more local you are, the greater the impact an elected official can have on your life. The mayor can have a huge impact on your life if you're living in a town. Are parks going to be open at night so people have something to do, midnight basketball kind of thing? Are we going to shut them down at sundown, like some places do? Are we going to find the funding to make sure our library is open 7 days a week? Or are we going to close it 3 days a week? Can we afford those kinds of things? Potholes, parks, all of this kind of stuff, property taxes, it's all affected, but the president doesn't have anything to do with it. It's my mayor. Same thing with the county. County government has huge impact on vocational technical schools and other kind of opportunities, job opportunities, economic development, big thing. And the state has a massive impact. Now, we talked about the governor being this pivotal position within New Jersey. We should understand, for anybody who is from Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware, they elect a number of people statewide. They elect an attorney general. They elect an insurance commissioner. In Pennsylvania, they elect a lieutenant governor separate from. So you can have a Republican governor and a Democratic lieutenant governor. These are the kinds of things that other states do. We don't have that in New Jersey. New Jersey, the governor is the only one who gets elected statewide. There's a lieutenant governor, but they run as a ticket the way a president and vice president will run. So you have all the power, all the focus. The only person who can truly speak for everybody from Cape May up to Mahwah is the governor. Nobody else. The state senate president gets elected by 35,000 people in a district in Union County. That's it. Nobody else even knows who he is. It's the governor who can truly speak, can mobilize, and can say, I represent the people. And it was designed this way in the 1947 Constitution, the modern Constitution of the state of New Jersey, to make the governor very powerful. So when we talk the question about why is this relevant to students? Yes, it's funding, but everything. It's about environmental enforcement. It's about whether we are involved in with other states in fighting the depletion of the ozone or not. It will affect whether we have the state is investing in windmills and offshore energy or not. It will affect what kind of jobs and economy you have. We have 23,000 students in this university between graduate schools and undergrad. And everyone's going to graduate and leave at some point. And when they do, are there going to be jobs in the state of New Jersey? Or you all have to go to Pennsylvania or New York or someplace else to find work? Are there going to be good paying jobs? Are there going to be jobs for reporters and aspiring people who want to be in the news media? That's tough everywhere, but you want to make sure you have it here. And so these kinds of things are critical and are going to be decided by the people who get elected this November.
The governor for Virginia has been called. Democratic Abigail Spanberger has won. I feel the way that Dr. Dworkin frames this election here is particularly noteworthy, and it could be used as a means of trying to generate more interest in elections like this.
I would have to agree with you there, Nick, especially when you consider the historically lower turnout gubernatorial and mayoral elections get in comparison to the presidential election. If more voters truly understood the power and the importance that is given to governors and mayors, maybe then more voters will show up.
The warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce. We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, love you always.
Everything I do
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Welcome back to Rowan News for our special live stream of the New Jersey gubernatorial race. I'm Nicholas Marinelli.
And I'm Ben Fatokun. Earlier in this broadcast, we heard from Dr. Ben Dworkin about how much power is given to the governor of New Jersey. What most viewers do not know is why New Jersey gives so much power to these governors. With more on that, we turn it back to Dr. Dworkin.
Look, what happened is that in the first half of the century, New Jersey was dominated by political party organizations, party bosses. They're in an effort to combat the power of these political patronage-driven organizations. It was time to reform. It had been 100 years since the last constitution was in 1844. So as movement built to do a new constitution, the country and New Jersey, part of it, had seen the power of a strong executive in Franklin Delano Roosevelt at that time. And so you had this notion, we should have a very strong central executive, chief executive, the governor, who will have the ability to say no to the party bosses, have the ability to stop the party bosses, bring the power to the governor so that as a way to offset the political party organizations, which were their heyday at that time. And so, yes, the governor is the only statewide elected official. The governor gets, New Jersey, like most states, has to have a balanced budget. Well, how much money are we going to have to spend? And you're projecting over the next 18 months. The governor can pick that. You might have a different opinion. Wall Street might have a different opinion. The rating agencies might have a different, but it's only the governor who gets to decide. Governor doesn't have just one veto, the ability to say no to a piece of legislation. Has four different types of veto. And the governor appoints everybody. They appoint everybody to the Rowan board. So in and of itself, the management of this university is determined by the governor. And we're hoping that they pick good people, right? So that we could all benefit here as people part of the Rowan family. But if Rowan is going to expand, if Rowan is going to establish relationships with various community colleges like we have, these things get approved by people selected by the governor. Every judge outside of municipal court, right? You get caught speeding, you're going to meet Judge White or whomever, and that's it. But you have to go to the county for whatever reason. That's where the thing, and all those judges are picked by the governor. Board, again, every board, every oversight board, every university board, all picked by the governor. So this is part of the governor's huge power that they have here. You want to do something in politics, you want to be governor. You don't want to be U.S. senator. They just talk, okay? They do more than talk. I don't mean to say that. But it's a different process. You want to do things. Governor is the job where you can really do things and put your imprint on this state. So it's a critical thing. Not everybody knows that. And so you try to explain to people that this is why it's so important.
Yeah, it's very important because, I mean, we're one of two gubernatorial elections happening this year. And then on top of that, we are clearly the strongest, like the most powerful governor out of all the states, which is just very interesting and something that I never knew of, and I think many other students are not aware of, how the Constitution of 1947 really brought the governor that much power. So thank you.
It is quite fascinating to hear the historical reason why the governor in New Jersey was given so much power back in the 1940s.
I certainly have to agree with you, Nick. It does make sense when you look at the strong central powers that led the United States throughout the war.
Definitely something you have to remember when the Constitution was redone in New Jersey. It was just 2 years after World War II finished up. Many people in general were fond of the idea of having a very strong, singular, and central person in power. That is why the governor of New Jersey has so much power.
Definitely very interesting, and important to note the history that has led to the state governor having so much power. Here for his second and final weather report of the night, Keegan Thompson.
Thank you, Ben. As Ben said, yes, I am Keegan Thompson. For one more time tonight, let's have a conversation about the weather. Like we said earlier, the political climate in America is very hot right now, but the actual climate here in the Northeast is starting to cool down just a little bit. As of right now, it was 49 degrees when we started the broadcast. It's starting to taper down to about that 47-degree range. Real feel of 40, and tonight it will get as low as 39 degrees. The wind has dropped off, however. We're only getting 6-mile-an-hour winds, contributing to a little bit of a chill air, but definitely not these 10 to 25-mile-an-hour gusts that we've been getting. So 6 miles an hour at this moment. We're still hovering around the low 50s, upper 40s right now. So if you need to run any last-minute errands, I'd hurry up and get that done right now before it gets even colder. Now, we're going to take a look at the rest of the rest of the weather for this week. We've got some ups and downs tomorrow, starting on an up. And, you know, we will know who the governor is officially right now. The race has been called in favor of Mikey Sherrill at the moment, but we got more on that coming up soon. But high 68 degrees, low 47. It's going to have a little bit of wind up to 20 miles an hour, but it really does not get much better than those temperatures this late in the season. But we do have a big drop off on Thursday, down to 56 degrees, low of 34 degrees, with that wind from yesterday still sticking around, carrying that chill right to you. So pretty typical of the tri-state area at this point of the year. The only thing less consistent than the quality of our roads is the day-to-day temperatures in the middle of autumn. Friday, though, we're back up to 63, thank goodness. With partly cloudy skies, a low of 55 degrees, Friday promises to be quite pleasant. Nothing to worry about there. 50 to 7 degree day on Thursday. It was absolutely a fluke. Surely it won't get that low for a while. And that's what we call foreshadowing in the business. Back to Saturday, it'll be warm again, partly cloudy, low precipitation chance. If Friday was pleasant, Saturday will be downright lovely. And that will help a lot of you who are coming out to Rowan's final football game of the season on Saturday. But on Sunday, here's a little bit of trouble. Chance of scattered showers, high of 63 degrees, about a 68% chance of rain. But this is about 5 days away, so there is a chance this might just blow out off the coast. Even if we do get this rain, don't expect too much accumulation, probably about 1/4 of an inch that we're looking at this point. Rain might continue through the night into Sunday and into Monday as well, and a low of 41 degrees. Now, if you hated Mondays before, this one might prove your care valid. Partly cloudy, low of 47 degrees, nearly a 16-degree drop-off between Sunday and Monday. Mikey Sherrill might have this election wrapped up, but you're going to also have to wrap up on Monday. Heavy winds, looking to 10 to 20 an hour winds. That's pretty bad too. So back to Monday, better grab those gloves, get those scarves if you wear them, and definitely a jacket. It's going to be a rough one, low of 29 degrees. And again, still might have a little bit of that precipitation carrying over from Sunday. But that's your 7-day Glassboro forecast in the books. Again, if you're out late or up early, please, please, please be mindful of our lows. They're only continuing to get lower as we inch closer to the winter months. And as of November, we are just 1 month and probably a half away at this point. So winter is very quickly coming upon us. Slick surfaces, definitely something to be mindful of while walking or driving, especially after Sunday's rain. So those of you who are walking around, be very careful when the weather is this low. That's all from me. I'm going to send it back over to Nicholas and Ben.
Thanks, Keegan, with our coverage winding down for the night. We once again want to turn it over to Craig, who was out of the street this past week, asking students on campus what they are looking for in a political candidate. Let's check it out.
All right, Michael, what are you looking for in a governor?
Someone who's kind of like down to earth, could talk about the issues that are facing New Jerseyans, like increase like living, like things have been so expensive, and it's like hard to like look forward to living here, especially how expensive like houses are going to be. Because I want to be a teacher, and I'm also looking for someone who supports the education system and benefits for our teachers. So that's very important.
And now you already answered my other questions. What issues do you think politicians would talk about more?
It's not really like what issues wish they talk about more. I wish they were just like more to the point. Like I don't want to have to watch a debate and like sift through to fact check my politicians. Like I would rather a politician be like, look, honestly, I was wrong about this, or honestly, I believe like, although it's unpopular, I think this is best going forward. Like I just want some like straight up like actual answers.
And now, do you think any of the candidates so far have displayed any of the qualities that you look for in a governor?
I feel like it's who displays less, like who displays more. Like I don't know, like I'm just tired of voting for someone who I like someone I like more than the other person, even though I don't really like either of them. So like it's kind of who do I like more than the other one, not who would I actually support.
And now, what changes would you like to see in New Jersey over the next few years?
Lower taxes, and yeah, more like just prices need to go down. It's getting ridiculous. Yeah, just cost of living. That's just the most major thing for me. It has to go down.
Well, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, have a great. I'm here with
Jonas.
All right, Jonas, are you political and core following the governor's race?
Yes, I am. Right now it's just a close, race between Jack Ciattarelli, right, and Mikey Sherrill. Right now, like I said, Jersey can go either way. Like I said, just go out and vote. Like I said, the best is yet to come for New Jersey, and we'll see who wins.
Now, what do you personally look for in a candidate?
Somebody who's for the people, who's just gonna have the best policies and everything for the people of the state. Um, and just be, just be a good governor. Like I said, to know how to govern people and act accordingly. That's all.
Do you think any of the candidates have met your standards so far?
Um, yeah, some of them have. They definitely do. They're just trying to get out. I like how they're getting out to people. Like I said, that's a big thing in this election. You gotta get out to people. Gotta meet people where they are. And that's for anything. So I really like what they're doing with that. Yeah.
And now, what do you hope to see for New Jersey in the next 5 years?
Well, Jersey's a really expensive state to live in. It's a good state, but it's expensive. So definitely like the price to go down a little bit. But I just want to see our state like just thrive and everybody just doing well. That's it. I just want everybody, like I said, to do well and be good. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for voters who are taking part in the election this year?
Say is go with whatever candidate you go with. When you make that choice, if you don't like it or whatever, like you have to live with it. But like I said, just choose wisely and just know your views. See who's getting out to you. Like I said, who's making your mind and everything. So yeah, definitely. It's like
Now that we heard from students for one last time, we want to turn it over to Dr. Diane Gariantes for one last reminder as to why it is so important to watch elections like this.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to watch this election. I mean, first of all, for the state of New Jersey, and most of our students live in New Jersey, the governor leads the state in terms of policy and setting the agenda for policy and making decisions. So it's important to vote for the governor. And the election only comes up once every 4 years, and here we are. So it's important for college students not only to vote, which they should, but also to be informed about what the issues are and what's happening, and then vote their conscience. Nationally, this election has received a lot of attention. One, because it's one of only 2 gubernatorial elections in what they call an off year. There are no congressional seats up this year for election. There are no for election, re-election. The presidential election, happened last year. So it's an off year in terms of the federal level seats. Here in New Jersey, and this is important, it's not just the governor, our General Assembly, which has 2-year terms, they're all up for election. So it's not just, and then there's local elections where you vote on county commissioners and your local borough council members or town council members, and importantly, school board members. So I know we talk a lot about the governor's race, but, there's also all of the other elections that are happening statewide and county elections and local elections that are also happening. So they're all important. But I started to say that the New Jersey race has received national attention this year because, of everything that's happening in Washington. We have a Republican majority government now, whereas prior to this we had a mixed government. We had a Democratic president, and Congress was mixed in terms of its makeup. And Congress, both House of Representatives and Senate, have always been, in the last recent years, have been very close in terms of the number of representatives. So every vote counts there. And now we have a Republican majority in the House of Representatives. We have a Republican majority in the Senate, which wasn't the case prior, and now and a Republican president. So we've had a lot of changes in the last 9 months since President Trump took office. And this is the first statewide election, and it's New Jersey and Virginia. They both are voting for governor this year. So those are the only 2 states that have a gubernatorial election. So people are sort of looking at it to judge the mood of the nation. Like, how are people feeling about all these changes? Because there's been a lot of changes. And of course, currently we're in a shutdown. The federal government is shut down. So, I mean, that just goes, and that's one of the changes of many. So it's definitely being seen as a way to gauge, like, how are people in the country, and looking at these 2 states how are they feeling? Now, Virginia is considered a purple state, meaning it can go Republican or Democrat. New Jersey has more Democratic voters, registered Democratic voters, than Republican voters, and tends to lean Democratic. But with governors, and federal positions, we have had mixed. We've had many Republican representatives in Congress, and we've had many Republican governors. And in fact, it's rare for New Jersey. The Governor Murphy who's a Democrat, has served 2 terms. It would be sort of it's very rare for another Democrat to get into that position after 2 terms of a Democratic governor. New Jersey tends to swing either way. So, people are just looking to see, well, what's going to happen here. It's holding a lot of interest nationally.
We do not want to sound like a broken records here at Rowan News, but we really do want to emphasize the importance of following local elections like the gubernatorial race here in New Jersey.
That's right. And before we get into our final coverage of the election results, we want to share one final clip from Dr. Ben Dworkin. This one is about why the margin of victory is the most important thing to look at in elections like this. Let's see what he had to say.
Are there any particular regions or counties in New Jersey that you think are particularly noteworthy for this? Could be a flip-flop?
One of the most hotly contested counties is right here in Gloucester County. The district, the county itself is pretty evenly split in terms of Democratic performance and Republican performance. So these are very closely contested elections that are taking place. In addition, right here in Gloucester County, including the district that includes the town of Glassboro, we have very competitive legislative races. So it's not just the New Jersey governor that is on the ballot this year. The entire state assembly is up, not the state senate, just the assembly. There are 40, the state is divided into 40 legislative districts. Each has about 230,000, 240,000 people. Of those 40 districts, every district elects 2 members to the General Assembly, so there are 80 seats that are up. Of those 80, of the 40 districts, 4 or 5 are competitive. Most are very safely Democratic or safely Republican. Right here in Gloucester County, we have 2 of those 5 competitive districts. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars are being spent to win on one side or the other. So we're going to be watching Gloucester County. We're going to see how close it is between the 2 candidates. For governor, we're going to watch these legislative races. All eyes are going to be right here on this area. Larger counties that will have an impact are really less about whether we'll see a flip, as you described it, but more so what's the margin of victory for this side we expect. As an example, Monmouth County, Ocean County, along the shore. These are very Republican counties. But it makes a difference whether Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate, wins by 25,000 or is he going to win by 75,000. That shapes an entire election. Democratic counties, Bergen County, Essex County, Hudson County, Mercer County, Middlesex County. Again, Democrats are going to win in those areas. Mikey Sherrill will do well in all those areas, but it's how well she does. The plurality is going to make a difference, especially in a close race like this. So those are we're going to be looking at areas, again, not for the flip, but more so to understand how big is the margin that someone's able to run up. It's the plurality. It's the margin you win by. How much can you run up the numbers in your territory? Yep. If you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, how much can you run up the numbers there to offset the losses you're going to have in other places?
Now that we understand the importance of margins, for one last time, let's take a look at the results.
And before we get into these results for one final time, we would like to remind these viewers that these results are not final, and they could be subject to change. So without further ado, let's check this out. So the Associated Press is calling the race for Mikey Sherrill at 57%. She is the projected winner. Jack Ciattarelli coming in at 43%, with 81% of the votes counted. And it looks like Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill will be going from Congress to the governor's mansion.
And then if these projection votes are correct, congratulations to Mikey Sherrill for winning the governor election, 57% to 43%.
And of course, congratulations to Jack Ciattarelli as well for a well-fought campaign.
Yeah, overall, great work from both
candidates. And thank you so much for watching.